Greetings, Israel, adopted, grafted heirs, joint heirs, natural, spiritual, all of those redeemed by the Most High, everybody that's a believer of this scripture. I'm just here to, share some great things with you. Just waiting for this traffic can clear so I can look this way and not that way. Okay, so I call this political pieces continue to fulfill prophecy. Now this is going to be beautiful when you see this. I know that some people might think you should be concentrating on High Point right now, and I am. But you know, as I one of my favorite topics is politics. It just is. So I follow politics because politics, when you monitor it, it lets you know how close the Bible is unfolding. So that's why I follow it. And that's why I have a strong interest in it. Thank you for the like button. So let me show you what's unfolding. Now, first, let me give you the prophecy. Then I can let you know how things are unfolding. According to prophecy, there has to be players in the Middle East that fulfill Zechariah the 14th chapter. But the players that fulfill Zechariah the 14th chapter has to be a big enough army. Now you all know that I showed you that that is Russia and China. That's who that is. That's who that army is. Now the thing is, some people will say, how can that happen? Who has a 200 million army, personnel army? Who has that kind of army? Russia and China do collectively. So the thing is, some people are going to say, well, the United States is the world power. True. But things are unfolding. Things are changing. So let me let you know how and why. First of all, let's look at the major player that's on the stage for right now. Because I believe that this major player that's on the stage right now has nothing to do with prophecy that we see in Zechariah the 14th chapter. How you doing, Tobias? How you doing, T? This player has to do with Zechariah the 14th chapter, and it's the United States. Nothing to do with Zechariah the 14th chapter. In fact, the power that's on the stage right now has to come off the stage in order for prophecy to fulfill. Now, how that player comes off stage, the conditions in which that player comes off that stage, how you doing, Miss B? And the aftermath of that player coming off stage. Domestically, what it means, the scriptures does not directly or indirectly talk about it. So let's go into it. Let's get into it. Russia and China. Everything that you see, it's always a team. Russia and China. Russia and China. Russia and China. Russia right now has been accused of interfering with the political election back in 2016. How they interfered, it remains to be unknown. They did not get a hold of the mechanical voting boxes and change who the president was. They did not come, yes, somebody says Gog and Magog. I like that. Absolutely, Nakaira. Um, and Russia did not come into the United States and force people to vote a certain way. So how they interfered with the election, other than getting on social media and giving their viewpoint, if you call that interference, it's interference. Okay. Oh, well, wow. But let's look at what's going on in Venezuela right now. In summer of last year, there was an election. A person by the name of Maduro got elected. When he got elected, their opposition party, according to their constitution, they could run, but they elected not to. But what the opposition party did after the election is that they formulated, and according to the Constitution in Venezuela, they must choose a leader, sort of like the way the United States chose Nancy Pelosi to be the Speaker of the House. That's what happened. We all know that the conditions in Venezuela are not the best, but nonetheless, the United States, after the opposition, and the opposition simply means whoever's in charge, if that party affiliation is in charge, everybody else is the opposition. Now, the United States doesn't like to call the Democrats the opposition. They call it the right and the left, Republicans and the Democrats. And they say we are a democracy and we're one. But sometimes when you look at news and what people do to each other, it looks like an opposition to me. But nonetheless, this guy by the name of Guaido was elected by the opposition party to be the Speaker of the House. And I'm bringing in terms that you can understand and relate to in the United States. So he's now the Speaker of the House. He gets a phone call from the United States as the Speaker of the House and says, hey, we're not even recognizing the election that you all had, but since the opposition has formed and you all were not ready for the election, when they had the election in the summer, although it's several months later, we're going to recognize you as the real president of Venezuela. That's what we're going to do. Now that caused just about a civil war. It's causing a civil war. Not yet, but it's on the verge. Here's what gets interesting. China loaned Venezuela billions of dollars. Billions. Some say millions, but I would say it was probably billions. But let's say it's millions. Let's just say it's a lot of money. As collateral, Venezuela put up its assets. Now let's talk about the assets that Venezuela has. Venezuela has gold and oil. Gold and oil. Those are the two things that Venezuela has in the country as assets. China gave them a loan and used gold and oil as the assets. So, what America cannot do, because Venezuela is in so much trouble, they cannot obviously pay back the debt being in the condition that they're in. Can't do it. So what the United States is saying, wait a minute, we don't like that loan that you did with China because you don't have the means to pay that loan, which means now China is going to come in and foreclose your debt, which means now Citgo oil and the oil refineries are going to be controlled, not necessarily owned, but controlled by China for the duration or during the terms or under the conditions of that debt. America can't have that because they're already in a trade war with China. And America gets, understandably, about 60% of its oil from Venezuela. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what one of the reports. I like to get multiple reports, but that's what one of the reports said. If that's true, even if we get 30% of our oil from Venezuela, it's enough to allow China to be a player in the game of trade and the sale of oil. And America cannot have that. Cannot do it. Cannot have it. Not only that, let's talk about the gold. So China's relationship with Russia and Russia's relationship with Turkey, the three brothers there, Russia, China, and Turkey, says, wait a minute, China, because right now that gold has to be processed and has to go through its stages once it's dug up, and we are the ones that do that. So therefore, you need us at the table. And Russia says, well, hey, listen, we're in this together. We're in this together. So that's why the three said, wait a minute, United States, you are accusing us of interfering with your elections, but this is really interfering with the elections because there was an election and the people voted in the president. And it was a democratic process. And in fact, Maduro asked that the United Nations sends people over to monitor the election. But they said, no, we don't need to. Go. So now that this guy's the president, interfering is when you just told Gotti, oh, he's the president. And then this stuff is started. Now, the United States, to protect itself domestically, cannot, by any means, cannot Venezuela. Tobias says the Medes and the Persians. You know, I like you all. You all are a very smart subscriber group. But yes, that's who the Medes and the Persians are. It's Russia and China. The United States, under no condition, under no circumstances, can allow China and Russia to take over Venezuela. No way, no how. Under no circumstances that can that happen. Our gas prices. How you doing, Edward family and Joy? Our gas prices will be $1 more by summer. Potential government shutdown, add another 20 cents on top of that. Under no circumstances is it in the best interest of the United States to allow Russia and China to take over Venezuela. Here's the problem. All of the African Caribbean islands, Barbados, Trinidad, and so forth, have signed with Venezuela to say that your elections that you had in the summer, we recognize that guy as the president. And it seems like that the United States has split the world of half agree with the United States and half agree with Russia and China. So what does that have to do with prophecy? Russia and China are getting its house in order. That's what they're doing. They're getting their house in order. And United States is backing off. They have to back off. In order to make America great again, you cannot have this many problems going on. You cannot have an investigation on the magnitude that you have it with that many people from the current sitting president's administration going to jail. You have a nation that's divided on a wall, have a nation that is divided on a political platform that has awakened a sleeping America that has reared its ugly head, and deal with those issues domestically. On top of that, dealing with Venezuela, Syria, and have your troops scattered abroad, and you got an election coming up in 2020. Can't do it. Too much. It's too much. Way, 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 way too much. And who's going to be the savior in all of this? The Pope. Mark my words. It's going to be the Pope. Because the Pope is very big and well known and respected among those same countries, those Caribbean islands, those Hispaniola countries. And he's going to listen to them. And if they say that Maduro is supposed to be the president, the Pope is going to go that route. A lot of stuff is unfolding. It's interesting to me. It's very interesting. Now, I will say this. Don't let this stuff scare you. Don't be fearful. This is not the first time that Russia has flexed its muscles against the United States. Some of you all are not old enough to remember, and I was only maybe 1 or 2 years old, but I read about it. The Cuban missile crisis. And Russia poured its troops, it poured its submarines right around Cuba. And that was what we call the Cuban Missile Crisis that happened in the 60s. So it's not the first time Russia has flexed its muscle. And this is not going to be the last. However, in conjunction with a lot of other stuff going on, this is really putting the pieces in place for prophecy to politically unfold. Now, there has to be a biblical unfolding of prophecy, but what we are witnessing now is a political unfolding so that biblical prophecy can unfold. So that's what we're witnessing right now. It's interesting. I'm watching it. I'll keep you abreast as to the best of my knowledge and let you know to the best of my ability how to keep these things in perspective. One of the things that you may want to do, again, I don't see America winning out of this. I don't see Gaudio winning out of this. I don't see, um, I don't see, uh, I don't see it. So what I think is going to happen is China is going and Russia are going and all of those that are pushing this. Um, Watch Venezuela. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I watch it. Let's see what happens. Watch different news media networks other than CNN and Fox. Look at BCC. Look at RT. Look at there's a couple of national news, world news. Look at those networks, and you'll get what other countries are saying that Turkey and its allies are falling in to support Russia, Turkey, and China on the Venezuela issue. And trust me, if Venezuela was a country like Haiti and there's no gold, because there is gold there, but nobody wants to say it. But America wouldn't even jump in. They wouldn't even get involved. They would never pull this. If it was a country that didn't have minerals and oil, especially oil, they wouldn't say nothing. Nobody would. China would not be there making a loan to Venezuela if it wasn't for the oil. You think China will go over to Haiti and say, here's millions of dollars to get your economy going? No. No, they're not going to do that. Because China does not have organized gold refineries and oil refineries. So that's what it's about. Drama Queen says that all nations want to stop treating the U.S. dollar. This has been a threat to the U.S. for many years. Venezuela and Iran, yes. The Jews are saying their Messiah is coming in the next few months. Wow. Is that what they said? Yeah, the Pope is coming in the next few months. This is when they fake a terrorist attack to secure his re-election. Yeah, I see a lot happening here. Watch it. It's going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting. Just watch it. Just watch it. It's funny. It's comical. The only thing that really bothered me with all of this was whenever you have an army and your military says, this is the president, you respect the military. You respect the police. And they're saying they're backing Maduro. I understand the United States under no circumstances or condition can allow China to take over that asset. So I see why they do what they're doing. I understand why they're doing what they're doing. From a business, political aspect, doesn't make it right. I'm just saying I understand it. But what makes it look bad? Hey, can I get some likes on this video? Can I get some likes? I got quite a few people in the chat room. Give some likes. What I can't understand is, how do you feel comfortable? They are predicting his coming before their elections. Look it up, family. It's getting down to the get down. Yeah, it is. It's getting down to the get down. Yay. Because the Messiah is soon to come. What I don't understand is that you accuse Russia of interfering with the elections. If this is not the epitome of interfering with the elections, although I understand you have no choice to pull out every straw, everything that you can. You got to do it. Because those of us that are in America, trust me, America cannot and will not allow China to take the assets of Venezuela for a loan that China knew in the very beginning that Venezuela could not make that note. And Russia, the United States watched China do it. Well, nothing they can do. They said, wow, they think we're going to let them buy with this? No. America just didn't know how China was going to cash in on the assets, but America knew this is where we get our oil. This is war. See, war is fought differently today. It's fought like this. This is actual war. It's no longer like shoot 'em up, bang, bang. This is war. When China went over and loaned Venezuela that money, America knew this is war. So what America had to do was deal with the trade issue with China. But what China is doing now is saying, now our move on this war is a power move because we can really take over that oil. Now, what America did was, okay, we're going to lock the assets of the Citgo gas company. Y'all heard of Citgo. And all of the other money that would be going back to Venezuela, we're locking that money in these banks. That's the other power move that the United States is doing so that China can't get its money. And check this out, it gets better. The oil in Venezuela is because the oil is so thick, it's only refined in the United States. So that's the other power move. So the United States says, okay, China, if we lose this, guess what? We're locking the money. We're not letting the money out of our bank. And number two, if you think that you can take that oil and you're going to take it to another country to refine it, have at it. Go ahead. Take it. Because we're the only person that can refine that type of thick oil in this area of the hemisphere. Because the oil that Venezuela is getting is only refined and processed so that it can be used. It's only done in the United States and its territories. The oil that Iran, Iraq, Arabia, and all of them doing, that's a different type of oil. It's all processed to be gas, but it's a different type to be processed. So these little chess moves, man, power plays. And the thing is, everybody's so afraid of Donald Trump because he's crazy. They don't know what he might do. They really don't know what this guy might do because he's a loose cannon. They really don't know what he might do. Politically, he is a, what do you call it? An individual. He has, God, when you have different mood swings, he's bipolar. He himself is not bipolar, but his political style is bipolar. He's a bipolar style of leadership. It could be up, it could be down. You don't know what you're gonna get when you get home, because he has he has a bipolar style of political leadership, and there's not a medical prescription for it. It's not. There's no medical prescription for the type of leadership that Trump has, because the politicians are not even used to it. They're used to a politician bipolar, not a businessman bipolar style of leadership. And he's got multiple personalities. His style, not him, his style is multiple personality style of leadership. You don't know what you're gonna get. I mean, he's in a room one day trying to wake up the there's a movement called Blexit, Blexit, Blexit. And it's a group of young millennials who's saying that we are now the new black conservative and we support Trump. Look it up, Blexit, 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 a big movement, big movement. They wear MAGA hats, Make America Great Again. They're supporting Trump. They're saying that Obama did nothing. They're giving Kamala Harris a hard time, and it's a big movement. And Trump really loves it. He supports them. But that's on Monday morning. But come Friday, he's waking up a white supremacist base. You cannot be the world leader with all of this going on. It's impossible. It's impossible.